Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to decode the language of technology. We're going to break down 12 essential terms that take an idea from just a spark all the way to the app in your hand. This is the vocabulary you need to understand how our digital world actually gets built. So let's dive in.
I want you to think about your favorite app for a second. It didn't just appear, right? It started as a simple idea in someone's head. But how in the world did it make that journey from imagination to the tool you use every single day? That's exactly the path we're going to follow, and we'll learn the language of tech as we go.
Okay, so our journey starts with the language of an idea. Yeah, before anyone even thinks about writing a line of code, every single piece of technology starts right here. This is the very beginning, the conceptual phase, where an idea is just a thought, really, just a possibility waiting to be fleshed out.
To build anything, you've got to have the words to talk about it, right? So we're going to learn the vocabulary that takes a project from a simple what if to a full-blown launch. Think of it as our linguistic toolkit for making cool new stuff happen.
So, you have an idea. Fantastic. But look, an idea by itself, it's not quite enough. You need a blueprint for success. Before anybody can start building, you have to lay a solid foundation. This is that critical planning phase, where you start asking the really hard questions to see if your concept can actually become a reality.
And the absolute first question you have to ask is this idea even viable? I mean, can it actually work? Is it feasible with the technology we have today? Is it practical for people to use? If the answer to those is no, well, it's back to the drawing board. A truly viable idea is the solid ground you can build everything else on.
All right, so your idea is viable. Great. Now what? How do you actually make it all work together? See, modern apps, they're not really built from scratch anymore. They have to connect to all sorts of other services, databases, and systems. So you have to plan how all these different parts will integrate, how they'll all combine and talk to each other to work like one seamless, unified whole.
Okay, blueprint's done. Now we're getting to the fun part, building for performance. This is where the code gets written, systems are put together, and that idea really starts to take shape. But here's the thing, building something is never just a straight line. It's all about tweaking, fixing, and problem solving along the way. And of course, you're gonna hit a snag. It always happens. You're testing out your new creation and suddenly everything just grinds to a halt. It's slow, it's laggy, so what's going on here?
What you've probably hit is a bottleneck. It's just like when a highway goes from 5 lanes down to 1. Everything gets jammed up. In tech, a bottleneck is that single point of congestion, that one piece of the puzzle that just can't keep up with the rest. Finding that weak link is absolutely crucial.
So, you've got this bottleneck. How do you fix it? Well, you gotta troubleshoot. This is like being a tech detective. It's the whole process of investigating, diagnosing, and finally solving the problem. And it's not just about patching the symptom. It's about digging deep to find the real source of the problem and fixing that.
Okay, so you've fixed the problem. Things are working. But you don't want it to just work, right? You want it to work brilliantly. That's when you optimize. You're not just making something functional, you're making it the absolute best it can be. Faster, more powerful, and just plain more effective.
Now, right alongside optimize, you're going to hear the word streamline a lot. And this one's all about making the process better. It means you're simplifying things, getting rid of unnecessary steps, and just making the whole operation more efficient from start to finish.
And this slide right here, it breaks down the difference perfectly. Think of it this way. To optimize is to focus on the destination, making that end result as amazing as possible. To streamline is to focus on the journey, making the process to get there as easy and efficient as possible. You really need both for a killer product.
All right, let's talk about the magic behind a lot of modern tech, especially all the cool AI features. It needs a very special kind of horsepower. And that's where the NPU, or Neural Processing Unit, comes in. It's a highly specialized chip built to do one thing and one thing only: handle the massive calculations needed for AI at lightning-fast speeds.
So, you can think of it like this. Your computer's CPU, that's your generalist, kind of a jack of all trades. The GPU is a specialist, but for graphics. The NPU, though, it's a grandmaster, designed exclusively for the crazy complex patterns of AI. It's literally the brain that powers all that AI magic you've got right in your pocket. All right, so the product is built, it's been tested, we've optimized it, it is ready to go. And that brings us to the next big step, launching to the world. This is easily one of the most exciting and, Yeah, maybe one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the whole process, getting your creation into the hands of real people.
And this whole process, it has a name: deployment. But listen, it's way more than just flipping a big on switch. Deployment means installing the software on servers, configuring everything so it runs just right, and then, finally, that big go-live moment when it's officially out there for everyone to use.
So your product is out there in the wild. You know what you're suddenly obsessed with? Latency. You know that frustrating little pause you feel after you click on something right before it loads? That's latency. It's that tiny delay, and cutting it down is what makes an app feel snappy and super responsive. So after all of that, the idea, the building, the launch, what do you get? You get the output. Whether it's the list of search results you wanted, a perfectly edited photo from an AI, or just the next video in your feed, the output is the final product. Basically, it's whatever the system actually makes for you, the user.
And just like that, the cycle is pretty much complete. That idea is now a real product that we're using every day. Which leads us to our last big idea here, your digital footprint. Because our relationship with tech doesn't just stop at launch. It actually creates this lasting connection to the digital world. And that connection, it's getting more personal than it has ever been, thanks to wearables. We're talking smartwatches that track our health, glasses that can show us information. Technology is no longer just on our desks. It's literally on our bodies, constantly interacting with us and the world around us.
And here's the thing. Every single one of these interactions, every click, every search, every step that gets tracked leaves a little trace behind. And all those traces together, that's your digital footprint. It's the record of your life online, a data trail that tells a story about you. And that's something we all need to be really aware of and, manage carefully.
So there you have it. From a simple, valuable idea all the way to your digital footprint, you now have the vocabulary. You now speak the language of how our digital world gets built. So the only real question left is this. With this new understanding, how are you going to shape it?